Hey there, AP Stats Cats. We are back with video number 3, Unit 2, which is about two variables. So we talked about linear regression and a couple of highlights the other day for those of you who were able to join me for the Google Meet, but I wanted to still go over a couple different things. So first of all, when you are talking about linear regression, you probably are going to be analyzing a scatter plot. Don't forget that when you're looking for the relationship between two quantitative variables, it's not all about the scatter plot. You need to look at the residual plot also. I'm guessing that on this year's exam, you will not actually be asked to create a plot of your own, but instead they will give you a plot. I'm going to give you an example in a moment. When you examine a scatter plot, you want to address the idea of the shape. Is it linear or not? The direction, is it positive or negative? And the strength. The strength, the closer that the absolute value of R is to 1, the stronger the relationship. The closer the absolute value of R is to 0, the weaker the relationship. A perfect positive linear relationship would be R equals 1. A perfect negative linear relationship, very, very strong, would be R equals negative 1. So it's not necessarily a problem if it's negative. It just means that as X goes up, Y goes down. If you do have a linear relationship, you want to try to fit a line to the data. And the equation that you would use for that is good old y hat equals a plus bx, where a is the y-intercept and b is the slope. And we're going to talk about how to find that in computer output in a few minutes. If it's not linear, you may need to transform the data. This is not covered on the exam, so don't worry about it. But I just want you to know that that could happen in real life. All right, when you are writing your equation, make sure that you define your variables in context. X is always your explanatory variable. Y is the response variable. But don't just talk about it that way. Talk about that X is the age and Y is the height or something like that. When you are looking at a scatter plot, you want it to be relatively linear. When you want to examine the residual plot, however, as it says here, it should appear scattered with no curved or fanned pattern. So you're going to want to address both. All right, so in case I haven't said it enough, make sure that you always address your variables in context. I think you've heard that a few times before tonight already. Be able to interpret each term in your model. So again, A is the y-intercept, B is the slope, X, talk about what it represents and in what units, Y, same thing. When you interpret the context of the slope and the y-intercept in context, remember, can I say context again? Gosh. All right, slope is the change in y over the change in x. So for every additional 1x unit, you have b, because b is the slope, additional y units, or maybe there's a decrease if b is negative, a decrease of y units per extra 1x unit. The y-intercept is the value of y when x is 0. So if we think back to the example from the other day about test score and number of hours spent studying, if x is the number of hours spent studying and you didn't study at all, then y, the y-intercept, is going to be your expected or predicted test score. Also, being able to make predictions based off of your model is very important and very useful, especially the stronger the relationship you have. But the thing you want to think about is make sure not to extrapolate too far from the data. Take a look at what your x values were in your data set. For example, if you knew what was true for x equals 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, that is where you can reasonably predict from. If someone said, hey, I wonder what would happen if x was 12.5, you could say, well, gosh, let's look at our pattern and see what happens. And because your data is based on x values from 10 to 15, your pattern is probably pretty reliable. If, on the other hand, your data goes from 10 to 15 and someone asks you to predict the value of y when x is 20, you wouldn't be able to make the assumption that the pattern continues. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but that 20 is beyond the range from 10 to 15, which is what your data is based on. It's not safe to assume that the pattern is going to continue. So watch out. Extrapolation is when you go beyond the original set of data and assume that the pattern still fits. A couple other things for you to think about. Make sure that you always look at your pictures first. So again, scatter plots need to be linear. Residual plots need to be scattered with no curved or fan pattern, and as best as possible, consistent scatter around the regression line. You don't want it to be really close to the line and then really far from the line. It would be really nice if you could have it all about the same. If you have inconsistent scatter, that will probably show up as a red flag in the not so scattered residual plot, maybe in a fan pattern. But that's just something else to think about. Also, you generally have independent observations. Let me just say this last line here is something that you would have focused on a lot more in chapter 26. We didn't focus on it quite so much because we didn't get there, but it's still good to know. All right, other topics to look at here. Again, you must have quantitative data in order to look at correlation. You have to be able to have numbers to plot like you were plotting on a coordinate plane. Yes, outliers are powerful, and watch out because they can definitely impact your R value, your slope, and as a result, then your prediction line. In addition, just as I'm looking here, number 4, causation versus association. Just because when X goes up, Y goes up doesn't mean that X is causing Y to happen. Number 5, we're going to do this on the next page in a second. If you ever need to find the residual, that is the value of the observed Y minus the predicted Y. The larger that is, the worse of a prediction you have, because where you thought your value would be and where it actually ended up were far away. You want the residuals to be as small as possible. And as a matter of fact, when you write the linear regression equation, the brain of the calculator is taking into account residuals that are as small as possible. R squared we're going to do on the next page. Also know that definition cold. You're going to want to have that, maybe have it handwritten nearby just in case you need to use it on the AP exam. We talked about extrapolation. Leverage and influential points is basically looking at outliers to see are they far away from the data. If you have a high leverage point, that means it's far away in the X direction, left or right. Influential points are points which dramatically change the slope or correlation coefficient of your graph by removing those points. And confounding variables are variables that are not your traditional X or Y, but they still have some impact on the final result. So I hope that that helps a little bit. If you'd like more information on that, please let me know. And then let's go ahead and turn the page. All right, so in our practice problem tonight, we're going to take a look at the relationship between the number of manatees killed and the number of powerboats registered in thousands. This actually is real data taken from Florida from 1977 to 1993, and unfortunately, as you can see, the relationship is positive, which means that the more powerboats were registered, the more manatees were killed, and that is very sad. In terms of the computer output, I want to remind you that only some of these numbers are going to be important to us right now. If we had gone through the entire year's curriculum, we would be using even more information. But for right now, all we're focusing on really is what we have here and what's underneath. So we don't need these last 3 columns of data. That will be interesting someday when you get to do linear regression inference, but you don't need it right now. So taking a look at this, our value of X is going to be the number of powerboats registered. And again, that's measured in thousands. And we can tell that by looking, even if you couldn't figure it out by reading the problem, you could tell that by looking at your graph. Then your Y is going to be the number of manatees killed. All right, as you take a look at the computer output, the top number under the coefficient column is A. That's always going to be your y-intercept. The bottom number is always going to be your B. That's your slope. And you'll know also what the X value is because right here next to your slope number, it says the value or what X represents. So that information is right there. If you go ahead and take a look at the questions, the very first one says find the least squares regression equation for these data. So using your A and B, please go ahead and write that equation. Okay, so I've taken the A and the B and I plugged them in and I have my equation y hat equals A plus bx. Also up here I've highlighted that I've already defined what X and Y are in context. If you didn't do that already somewhere on the page, you should do that now. And I'm also going to take a creative license because I think when I wrote this question, I didn't really mean 711 powerboat registrations. I think I really meant 711,000 because I would have wanted to come within this set of possible X values within that domain. And yeah, I don't think 711 is what I meant. So with 711 1,000 power boats registered, which represents about 711 on here. That seems like it's somewhere in that neck of the woods. We're going to go ahead and we can try to make a prediction. So plug in x equals 711 to get y hat equals negative 38.63 plus 0.11867 times 711. And when you check on the calculator, you should see that you get 45.74437. Obviously, that makes sense mathematically, but not in terms of a manatee. So I would probably write down the decimal value and then an approximate answer from there. So if we say that y hat is 45.744, whoops, sorry about that, then I would say that that's approximately 46. Then, of course, we're going to answer the question in context. So in a sentence, I would say if 711,000 power boats were registered, we would expect, and predict are both good. And it says that we don't know this for sure, but based on our data, that's what we think. We would expect that approximately 46 manatees would be killed. You can also say on average, but saying predict or expect or on average gives a signal that you know that this is not a perfect relationship, but it does the best that it can. In number 2, it says, according to our data, what is the observed cost of 711 powerboat registrations? Well, if we go back and take a look, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to get rid of my graph in there. 711, it seems like probably our line would be somewhere like that. 711, I think it would kind of end up working out about to there. And sure enough, that seems like it's at about 42 or so. Let's see, is there any other information? Nope, we didn't get the raw data, so we don't know for sure. But we could say that our observed value of y is approximately 42. And I don't know better than that because I don't have the raw data. But so taking a look at that, it's good enough. It's close enough to be able to make it, make an answer. Our residual then is going to be the y minus y hat. So we would say 42 minus 46, which is negative 4. If your residual is negative, that means what you actually observed was less than you thought. So maybe that's a good sign for the manatees. That means that 4 fewer manatees were killed than you had predicted. But it's totally possible for residuals to be negative, positive, could be 0. 0 just means that your prediction is right on the money. To finish up, we're going to take a look at both the scatter plot and residual plot and then talk about good old R squared. So go ahead and look at your plots, see what you think, and then we'll chat. All right, taking a look at the scatter plot, you can see a fairly linear pattern. Taking a look at the residual plot, you can see that we have points both above and below the line of residual equals 0. And there is not a particular pattern that looks like everything makes a parabola or it makes a sideways V. So we should be okay. And that means the scatter plot is linear. The residual plot is scattered with no curved or fan pattern. Therefore, our regression equation is a good fit for the data. It's worth it to go ahead and try to make predictions. All right, we have 1 minute left for R squared. Remember that R squared is, can you say it? I'm going to pause. All right, so here R squared is 80.6%. If you weren't sure where to find that, take a look right underneath where I had circled the A and the B. S is the standard deviation of the residuals. R squared is 80.6%. R squared ABJ we don't need. So based on that, we are saying 80.6% of the variation in Y, the number of manatee deaths, can be explained by linear regression on X, number of powerboats registered in thousands. So that means that there is quite a relationship between the two. The other 19.4% of why the number of manatee deaths go up and down is related to something else, or maybe many different variables. I hope this has helped. Sorry it was a little bit longer this time. Back at you pretty soon with the next video.